That's what I want. And for the time being, okay, for the time being, I think that's what I'd want to do. All right, let us begin. Let's get started with the word of prayer, shall we? All right. God, thank you for being good and being God all by yourself. Thank you for allowing us to come together once again to dialogue in this vibrant church workshop. We thank you now, God, and pray that you would be in our midst as we share, as we dialogue, and ultimately, God, as the task to do is ever placed before us. For your goodness and for your glory, God, let your will be done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. So let me first get the board ready. All right. Now, last week, as we were talking, now some of us, I think, were pretty reticent to share some of the scores that we were giving our particular church. So I want to begin tonight by saying you don't have to be afraid. Nobody is holding anything that you say against you. We're all here with the same purpose, which is to help our churches become more vibrant and to sort of meet the challenges laid out for us by the strategic plan. All right. So for homework last week, I know there was some more assessments and ratings that you needed to do. And so I want to begin tonight by simply inviting you to not be embarrassed and not be ashamed to share. Okay. Let's get started, shall we? Last week, okay, here we go. Last week, we were talking about this definition briefly about what is a vibrant church, okay? This definition is pulled from the training material on the training manual for vibrant local church development and planting new churches. This comes right from that particular manual, okay? Here's how the manual defines a vibrant church. A vibrant church means a church that is pulsating with energy and enthusiasm in faithful response to its sense of divine mission and ministry, given its unique composition and context, okay? That's our definition of a vibrant church. We'll be talking about that more and more in the weeks ahead, okay? So last week, we started using Shanasi's 5 practices of fruitful congregations. And we spoke last week about hospitality in our churches, the worship experience in our churches, and faith development in our churches. Okay, I want to jump right into the homework. That we had. You had 3 more statements, okay? Statement 1 has to deal with risk-taking mission. Talk about mission on tonight, okay? Risk-taking mission. Let's see. Anyone on the line, everyone on the line, how would you rate your agreement with this statement? My church risks trying new things to reach out to others. How would you rate your agreement with that statement? Anybody on the line? As I look at my church, I think I'd give my church a 4. Okay. Give me some other ratings. Anyone, you can unmute and give me a number.
3.
Okay, I got a 3. Anyone else?
4.
Got a 4.
A 3.
I got another 3.
3.
Another 3.
3.
All right, another 3. About 6. I need some more. My local church risks trying new things to reach out to others.
3.
Okay, a 3,
2.
a 2, two. Come on, I need at least 2 more.
Three.
Okay, got another 3. Give me 1 more. One more person, rate your church.
2.
I hear a 2. Okay, here we go once again, mathematicians. 4 plus 3 plus 4 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 equals what?
30.
That's 30. This one is easy. 30 divided by 10, because there were 10 responses, means that when it comes to mission, we rate our churches a solid 3. Okay? That's our rating, that's our evaluation. We pretty much see our churches as a 3. When it comes to risk-taking mission and service, Shanasi says these 2 things. He says, risk-taking mission and service takes people into ministries that push them out of their comfort zones. Okay? Risk-taking mission and service takes people into missions or ministries that push them out of their comfort zones. And many of our churches, when we look at where they are geographically, may be in prime position to be pushed out of our comfort zones, okay? Risk-taking mission and service, it stretches us beyond the circle of relationships and practices that you routinely define our faith commitments, okay? Yes, we are always used to doing certain things in a certain way, at a certain place, at a certain time. But risk-taking mission and service can break our traditions, break our habits, take us from the place where we are familiar and comfortable into spaces and places where we may be unfamiliar or uncomfortable. Watch this. Sometimes risk-taking mission and service means going right across the street from your church and evangelizing, knocking on doors. Sometimes risk-taking mission and service means packing some sack lunches and going to the local area, a local shelter or place where homeless persons live and begin to do ministry right there, okay? Again, it's ministries that push us out of our comfort zones. If it was easy, everybody would already be doing it. It's a risk because there's some difficulty involved in it, okay? It takes us out of our comfort zones and it stretches us beyond our circles of relationships and practices, okay? The stretch of Christian discipleship. Let me adjust my reading screen. The stretch of Christian discipleship is to love those for whom it is not, and it's not automatic, it's not easy, it's not common or accepted. This is the stretch. Because what many of us do, we love the people who are easy to love. Who's easy to love? People who look like us, people who think the way we think, people who act the way we act, people with whom we already have things in common. It's easy to love them. It's easy to want to evangelize or disciple or reach out and connect with them. But the stretching of discipleship, the challenge of discipleship is to love, to reach out, to engage in ministry with and for those for whom it is not automatic or easy or common for us to accept. All of our churches have a particular culture or DNA, or all of our churches have a particular perception or reality, right? I'll never forget when I came to Cedar Crest, I heard that Cedar Crest was a church that had a lot of teachers. That's part of our identity. A church full of teachers, retired teachers, active teachers, principals, administrators. That was part of our identity. It's easy then for this church, it was easy, and it is easy for us to reach out to other educators. Why? Because that's who we are. But what about an educated church that reaches out to those who are less educated? What about a working class church that reaches out to the unemployed? A church, a housed church, where everybody in the house, everybody in the church has a house or apartment, a place to live, that reaches out to the unhoused, the homeless, the well-clothed, doing ministry with the naked, the free, engaging with the incarcerated. This becomes risk-taking mission and service. To love those who do not think like us, live like us, and to express respect, compassion, and mercy to those we do not know and who may never be able to repay us. This is the love that Jesus the Christ draws out of us. Okay. Here's some things to consider if you're looking for your church to engage more or would like to develop more in its risk-taking mission and service, okay? Shanasi offers these seedlings for consideration. I love Shanasi's book because every single chapter ends with about 4 or 5 pages of suggestions. I'm only giving you a few in this presentation because you can grab the book and get all of them for yourself. Okay, here's some things Shanasi suggests. He suggested in your church, begin to study a language that will help you engage with people in your area. Many of us may be in churches where they used to be predominantly African-American, English speakers, but they may be increasingly becoming populated by Latin Americans or Hispanics rather, whose first language may be Spanish. So Shana says one of the ways that we can engage in risk-taking mission and service is to study a language that will help you to engage with people in your area. Perhaps do this with others from the faith community, okay? I know there's a church on Dallas District, they started having some Spanish lessons because there's some persons in the congregation who speak Spanish. So what did they start doing? They started offering Spanish to other members of the congregation. Another way that this can become a reciprocal ministry is you begin to offer it not just in your church, but in your community. Invite community members to come and to learn Spanish. Or if they're Spanish speakers in your community, right? Invite them to come and learn English, right? Offer some ESL classes or what they call reciprocal language learning. Reciprocal language learning means I teach you English, you teach me Spanish. Reciprocal language learning, okay? A lot of times because of the language barrier, we keep people away. Here is the risk. The risk is there's a language barrier between us, but we're going to go beyond the barrier and break the barrier so that we can extend the ministry of Christ in our community, right? Offer classes to help people earn their GED at the church, right? Or maybe at a local library or at a community center. Spend time just being with people in the community. I really enjoyed this one. Spend time just being with people in the community. Allow relationships to develop naturally, right? Here in Dallas, he wasn't a preacher. When I first came to Dallas a few years ago, I would go to the Luby's on 67 in Hampton. And I often found myself going there for lunch on a Monday. And when I went to Luby's on 67 in Hampton, every single week when I went on a Monday, there were some tables that were put together and had a reserve sign on the table. And I said to myself, well, it must be a group of preachers meeting at this Luby's every Monday. Has to be, because who else would have a reserved table in a restaurant that doesn't even reserve tables? It wasn't a bunch of preachers. It was Bill Blair, who owns the local Black newspaper. Bill Blair would have lunch with his friends at Luby's every single Monday. And he went so much that Luby's put some tables together and reserved tables just for him and his friends to come and to eat. They would eat, they would talk. And the more I went on Mondays, guess what I started doing? I started eating and talking with them too. The suggestion that Shanasi says is spend time just being with people in the community and allow relationships to develop naturally. Make and share meals together, do Bible study to explore topics together, work in the community garden together, prepare flowers and produce, trade lessons, right? Teach culture. Teach each other how, that's a typo. Teach each other how to cook or sew or make something that's special in your culture or your family, okay? These are ways to engage in risk-taking mission. Sporting events like the Super Bowl. I didn't look to see if Dr. Lynn Hargrove is on the line tonight, but I follow Dr. Hargrove, who's down at Long Chapel in Lufkin. One of the things that I've admired that he's been doing pretty regularly, I think it's in the springtime and the summertime, where they show movies at his church. They show movies outside on the parking lot, on the side of the church. They do it publicly. And showing movies like that publicly, it does what? It invites the community to come out, to connect, to share, to engage in a fellowship type of setting. This becomes risk-taking mission and service. Why is it risk-taking? Because many of us in our particular churches, I think a number of us might have this testimony. I went to my church and said, let's do this. And they said, no, because we don't know those people. And we don't want to invite them here. Then they'll come and break in our church later on. Right? And so the kinds of things that Shanas is talking about, especially going out and making natural relationships in the community, this becomes taking a risk, right? As you meet people in your community, you may find yourself working on cars together, sharing tools and skills, right? Support foster children, foster families. I want to say, and somebody else might know the language, I think there's a group in the fostering community, a social work community, they call them rainbow rooms. Rainbow rooms are rooms that have been set up by community-based organizations, but a rainbow room is often stocked with things like Pampers, car seats, things like that for young children. Because sometimes when social workers have to go and remove children from a home, they only bring the child. They don't have time to grab car seats or Pampers or anything else. And so they need those things. Your church can set up a rainbow room and partner with social workers or even with families that are fostering children who may have an emergency removal from the home. You can support them. Ask agencies what children and families need, okay? Here's one. Now, this one may be a little extra for some of us. Install showers in your facility for people who have no homes. Or install washers and dryers. for people who have no access to laundry facilities. I don't know what the schools may be doing in your particular neighborhood, but I'll tell you this. In schools I've worked with here in Dallas, we've had to go and we've helped schools to buy a washer and dryer in a school because there are children who would come to school in a uniform, but the uniform hadn't been washed. And so I've worked with schools to buy washers and dryers, so they would tell the kids, bring your other uniforms. They would wash the uniform while the child was in school. At the end of the school day, they would give them some clean uniforms that had just been washed at the school. Well, your church may have a washer and dryer, and there may be persons in your community who have an issue because they don't have a washer and a dryer. Risk-taking mission says if your church can offer it, you can offer it. And this becomes a ministry, right? Train people to serve as care ministers, right? Care ministers who can go eventually into prisons or go into assisted living centers, go into women's shelters, and go any place else in the community, right? Establish a partnership with a school. Okay? We talk about one church, one school. But if you have a one church, one school partnership, this becomes part of your risk-taking mission and service, okay? When you establish the partnership with the school, here's some suggestions. Work with the parents, the teachers, the administrators to find out what they need and how best to provide it, all right? Paint a schoolroom, build a playground, have people to serve as tutors, readers, mentors, okay? Load some backpacks with healthy food for children to take home for the weekend. Provide school supplies, many of us do that. But oftentimes we provide school supplies to the children in our church, but provide school supplies even to children who are outside of your church, they're in your community, okay? Host room parties, okay? Surprise teachers with gifts, host a health fair for school children and their families with free screenings, distribute hygiene kits for kids and for parents. There's a big church here in Dallas, I believe it's Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship. And I don't know how often they do it, but they offer like breakfast for teachers and for principals. And whenever it's offered, even members of my church who are teachers and principals, they would all go by Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship early in the morning just to get this breakfast and this coffee, this donut, these eggs before they headed off into work. This became a ministry for them, okay? Why can't we adopt schools and decide that once a quarter or once or whatever, we do something similar for the staff or for the students for a particular classroom? Okay. So Shanasi says, these are some suggestions to begin your church on a pathway to increasing and accepting risk-taking mission and service. Now, what I did not ask when I looked at your homework is this. In your own church, when it comes to your mission and service, what works and what needs work? All right. I'll speak about my church. At my church, what works? Our food pantry works.
Yeah.
It is a ministry that it was here when I got here. It had kind of fallen by the wayside. It has gone through perhaps 3 or 4 restarts in the time I've been here. And each time we restarted it, in a few weeks or months, it faltered. But maybe about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, one of the members came along, Sister Margie Young, and she said, well, Pastor, I want to give it a restart again. And I remember saying that we've tried this thing 4 times, right? But if you think you can make it work, go for it. And guess what? It has been running strong for 4 or 5 years. It's one of the things that we are known for in this community. It's a partnership with the North Texas Food Bank. But for me, that's something, and as I look at my church with our mission and service, that's something that works. Okay. Anybody else in your church, what's something that works or needs work when it comes to your risk-taking mission and service? Anyone? Now, I know there were a bunch of threes and some twos and some fours. That means all of us have something that at least works or needs work that we can share.
Our church went to a shelter. I think it was a shelter where they helped to feed the homeless.
Wow. And you went to a shelter, right? That's something that works. Anybody else want to share anything?
Well, our church this Sunday is going to deliver meals to senior living or disabled people that live in low income houses this Sunday.
Wow, very good, very good. Very good. Yeah. Any others?
Our church has done quite a few different things in the community because we have a lot of actively engaged people in the community in our church congregation. And so we look for ways to partner all the time. One of the things that we're doing right now actually is we have a chair yoga experience that we have that's actually started during our vacation Bible school. And it's with a church that's on the far west side of town. And so anybody, it helps those that are able-bodied as well as those that may be challenged in their bodies that can participate in that. And then we partner with one of the schools that's near our church facility. And I'd like to point out, one of the things that I really love about the author's points is to work with the parents, the teachers, and administrators to find out what they need. Because one of the worst things in the world is to have a big drive and you show up and dump stuff at a campus and they don't need it. I'm a witness. I'm in my office right now, surrounded by stuff. And then the other opportunity, just like Cedar Crest, we have a church that's full of educators and we're known for having educators. And so we also partner with one of our living legends that has a church named after him. So we try to do that as well.
That's great. That's great, right? We have churches in the Dallas district doing things like delivering for Meals on Wheels, okay? Meals on Wheels provides the meal. We need to provide the wheels, right? That's a mission. That's risk-taking mission and service. We have churches who do things like give people rides to go and vote. That's risk-taking mission and service. This is Thanksgiving season, right? And so your church may be doing Thanksgiving baskets or giveaways. That's risk-taking mission and service, okay? It's going beyond our comfort zone, right? And reaching, even if it's only across the street, because sometimes the people right across the street from our churches are strangers to us. We're not familiar with them. They're not familiar with us. We don't have a relationship, okay? So one of the characteristics or attributes of a vibrant church is engaging in risk-taking mission and service, all right? Let me go back. Let me go back to sharing.
You keep messing around, so you don't have no more books, no library book or nothing.
Statement number 2. Now, somebody talking about books, we can hear your conversation because you're not muted.
Put that up. And get to the words.
They're going to get to the words, but can you mute your phone? Thank you. All right. All right. Here's statement number 2. My local church is very generous, okay? How much do you agree or even disagree with that statement? My local church is very generous. I think I've been going first. So the generosity of my church, I don't like halves, so I will give that what will I give that? I'm gonna give it a 2.
I'm gonna give it a 3. I mean, I can't get a half. Can I give a 4? No. I'm gonna give it a. That's so. Why can't we have some percentages? I'll say, I'm gonna have to say 2.
2,
Yeah, I have to say 2.
okay. Give me some more.
2.
Another 2.
2.
Another 2.
3.
Another 2. I hear 3. Heard a 3. Come on, I need some more.
2,
Another 2. I
3,
need at least 3 more.
3,
All right, 3. 2 more. Come on. My local church is very generous.
Three.
All right, I got a 3. I need one more. One more person. Rate your church's generosity.
2,
And that's going to be a 2. All right. So we got, here go my mathematicians. Let's calculate. I got 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals what? What's that total?
24.
That's 24, right? And if I divide it by 10, that's easy math. When it comes to generosity, we are at a 2.4. Okay? Generosity 2.4. Okay? Now, I'm not asking right now what works or what needs work, but I would be willing to guess that if we ask what needs work, many of us would respond, we just got to do it, right? What needs work? We need to give more. That's pretty simple. Let's look at what Shanasi says about giving and generosity. Shanasi says that fruitful, thriving congregations grow because of extraordinary sharing, willing sacrifice, and joyous giving of their members out of love for God and neighbor, right? Fruitful, thriving congregations grow because of extraordinary sharing, willing sacrifice, and joyous giving. Okay? Churches that practice extravagant giving don't talk in general about stewardship. They speak confidently and faithfully about money, right? They talk about money, about giving, about generosity, and they talk about the difference giving makes for the purposes of Christ and in the life of the giver. So they use God's name accurately by appealing to the highest of life-giving purposes for giving rather than employing fear, guilt, pressure, and shame as a motivation. What does that mean? You don't guilt people into giving or don't shame them into giving. But these churches use the name of God and they appeal to giving as a way of honoring God. That the highest thing we can do is to give. Why? Because God gave to us. God so loved the world that he gave. Real love gives. Whoever or whatever you love, you give to it. Right? You love your children. They cost you something. If you love your car, it costs you something. If you love shoes, it costs you something. You love clothes, it costs you something. That somehow giving is an expression of love. And vibrant churches that practice extravagant generosity, that's how they speak of giving. All right? They speak of joy, devotion, honoring God, and the steady growth of spirit that leads to even greater generosity. And they don't apologize, they don't whine, they don't groan, and they don't act embarrassed or feel awkward as they encourage people to offer their best to God. All right? Many of us get shy and timid, just asking folk to give $10. But these churches will come and ask for hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, and will never apologize or be embarrassed or feel awkward in their ask. Because this is not about giving to me, it's about giving for God. Okay? In these churches, people delight in giving. They may have a pledge campaign, but the campaign is not about money and dollars and budgets, but it's about mission and spiritual growth and relationship to God. Stewardship efforts deepen the prayer life. So we're not just giving, we don't pray as we give. Pray before we give. We use stewardship efforts to deepen prayer life, to build community. Let's have prayer groups and prayer circles. Stewardship efforts don't just deepen prayer life and don't just build community, but they also unite people in a purpose. They help clarify mission. They emphasize mission and purpose and the life-changing results rather than shortages, budgets, and institutional loyalty. I know that as people called Methodists, apportionment is just part of what we do. It's part of our identity. But the truth of the matter is that many don't give just for sake of identity. And if God lets me live and the bishop reassigns me to Cedar Crest, I'm determined that next year for conference claim season, I want to make a commercial about conference claims, a video, a commercial that shows our schools and shows our mission work overseas. Because people need to see that this is not money that we give to the bishop. That's how people talk about it. Oh, they're giving that money to the bishop. No, the money is tied to mission. And then as much as we can make the connection and talk about mission, then the money will come. These churches have to provide a compelling vision, and the vision invites people to give joyously, thereby finding purpose, meaning, and satisfaction in changing lives. I think all of us on this line tonight, remember those commercials about for 39 cents a day, you can provide water to and a food to a starving child in Africa. And all they showed you were the pictures of the little ashy kids in Africa. And somehow showing the picture and the mission, it made the money seem minimal compared to the maximum impact it could make. Your 39 cents a day did not seem like much. But they showed you what a big impact it could make. And millions of people gave, right? They know that God moves people to give in order to find purpose and to accomplish things for Christ. Again, they connect money with mission, all right? Now, I'm gonna leave this on the screen. I'm gonna let y'all read this, some ideas to deepen generosity, okay? Regularly express appreciation to people who give. Yes, if you have a capital campaign, make sure you do that. But tell people thank you for their gifts. Do it collectively, do it personally, express appreciation. Teach, model, cultivate generosity among children. Have the children's offering or the children's message. That was one of the suggestions from last week. If you have a special asking for your Men's Day, your Women's Day, your church anniversary, your conference claims, or conference apportionments rather, have an amount for the children to begin to teach the children and young people how to give. Connect the action of giving to the work of God. We're not giving for us. We're giving because this is what God is doing. And we want to be a part of what God is doing. Okay? Give parents even practical ideas and guidance and simple tools to help foster generosity for children and youth of all ages. One of the things that Cedar Crest did pre-pandemic, we did what we call Secret Saint, which is, a church's version of Secret Santa. Call it Secret Saint. And while we were pulling names one year, we said, wait a minute, we can't leave the children out of this. And so children started their own, well, we started one for them, their own little Secret Saint grab bag gift. Beginning to teach generosity. Okay?
Dr. Williams.
Yes.
I have I just want a little incident at, there's a little girl there, her mom and family is from that church, and she had stayed with her great-grandmother for the weekend to come to church. And she did these little chores and got she had all this little envelope full of coins. And we were telling her to, how to fill out her envelope and all of that. And so she was putting her money in, and her grandmother told her she only had to put 10% in, just your tithe. And she said, I want to put it all in. And we were just so, I just won't forget that, she had worked for it by doing, emptying the wastebasket, getting whatever, and she was only, I think she's about 7, 8 or 9, something like that. She said, no, I would have, and she had all these pennies and these nickels and dimes, and that was like a glorified widow's mite to me. It just spoke to all of us at that time, because she just wanted to put it all in church. She wasn't worrying about, oh, I can keep this and buy this and buy that. And so it really, when you have that simple heart of, I'm just giving this back to Jesus. And I can say, when I joined the See Me Church at Bullock Chapel, Reverend E.F. Williams taught us tithing, because I didn't know nothing about it, tithing, and pledging, which is over and above your tithe. And we saw things that happen in that church. Mortgages paid off that the annual conference had been paying. Every fourth Sunday, they would take a collection for Bullock Chapel. Mortgage paid off, mortgage burned, bought more property, burned that deed. So it works, but it takes a unlearning.
Yeah.
Unlearning, people say our claims, they still have that old talk in their head, our claims or our budget. But it takes an unlearning to step out and walk out on faith. And that's difficult for some churches and some people in the church.
Yeah. As you were speaking, you reminded me of Easter gleaners that kind of serve that same purpose. Just putting that quarter in there. It was really a thing when I was coming up for the children and the youth to do something to earn that quarter,
Right.
To put it in that folder, in that gleaner, to be able to take it to church on Easter Sunday. Right. Even as Reverend Renter was speaking, I was sharing some more of the ideas that come from Shanasi's book. And I think this is the last slide that I have on this subject. But I think this is something that's very apropos to us, these suggestions, to talk about legacy giving, right? To talk about legacy giving. Giving even after one transitions or dies, right? Legacy giving. This is one of the things I think that we don't really talk about in our churches. But if you've gone to some other churches, maybe perhaps some predominantly white churches, or been exposed into that culture, that church culture, their church culture, it's very big among them, right? That they may be able to say that perhaps I did support or I did not support my church at the level I really wanted to in my living. But when I die and this big insurance policy is cashed, make sure X amount goes to the church, right? Half of the insurance policy goes to the church, right? Or some percentage. This is legacy giving. It may be, rather than let my kids fight over my house, they all have a house of their own. So when I die, my house is being wheeled to the church. Now, the church may decide to sell it, that's fine, sell it. They may decide to keep it and rent it out and have the income, great. But I just know that when I go, I'm not leaving all my stuff for my kids and everybody else to fight over. I'm gonna make sure my church is taken care of too. I just listened to a video from Steve Harvey the other day. Steve Harvey made this statement. He said he told his kids that don't be waiting for him and his wife to die. Said because when they die, they're only getting he said he gonna spend up 85% of everything he owns. And it's already fixed that his kids will only get about 15% of anything and everything he and his wife own. He was talking to T.D. Jakes about it. Yeah. And the idea was you can invest in your children, but that investment does not necessarily have to be monetary. What are the lessons you teach them so that they can grow and gain and have for themselves and not just argue and then trifle away the physical possessions you leave? All right, last one, and this one is not in the book. So I took the book off the screen for these last few slides because it's not there, okay? Online presence. The statement says, my local church has a strong presence online, right? Now, how would you rate that? I've been going first. I rate my church at a 4.
Ooh, that's good. I rate my church as a 1.
A 1?
Mhm.
Okay.
You have
One.
0?
No, 0 is not on the,
Okay. 1. Okay.
look, I got a 4, I got a 1.
One.
Another one.
A 1,
One.
a 1,
One.
a 1,
4.
woo, a 4. Give me a few more.
One.
Yes.
We got a 1. I think I need 3 more.
2.
A 2. Give me 2 more. Okay, I don't have time to wait. So,
3.
okay, a 3
3.
and a 3. God, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, mathematicians, let's go to work. 4 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 4 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3.
21.
21.
21.
21? Was it 21?
Yes.
Yes.
21. Mm-hmm.
21. I took 10.
2.1.
Oh, wow. So when it comes to online presence, we have a 2.1. Oh, wow. Okay. At some point, we may have to do some other things with this online presence. Okay. Hear this. Virtual gatherings are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. So the YouTube Live, the Facebook Live, the Zoom, the Microsoft Teams, and all these other virtual meeting spaces will be here for the foreseeable future. And as I wrote that observation, here's what dropped in my head. An old philosophical question posits, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one around, does it make a sound? Right, remember that old philosophical question? Here's a relevant remix of the question. If your congregation only worships in person and has no online presence in this postmodern COVID experienced world, is it truly a worshiping community? Because the COVID pandemic caused digital communication and virtual gatherings to become the norm. Everybody does it. Even people who used to see digital media as a distraction, even they have come to appreciate it and see it as something essential. This is no longer an age thing. Because from 6, yes.
But, surely that it's a necessary, but it doesn't mean that every congregation was equipped before the pandemic to see that or to realize that need.
I got you. But guess what? We've been in pandemic over 2 years now. And I don't think that, and let me say this, let me be clear on this. Because pre-pandemic, we were doing things like Givelify, like Facebook Live, but nobody used it because everybody came to church. But now during the pandemic, look, persons of all age demographics utilized media to communicate with family and friends, near and far, to go to work, to attend professional, social organizations meetings. The fraternity and sorority started meeting online. And yes, even to participate in worship experiences. Some folk who didn't care nothing about Facebook before the pandemic, all of a sudden got Facebook accounts. People who didn't care about how to get on YouTube, now they got a YouTube account. Folk who thought they would never even go to a virtual meeting on Zoom know how to log in on Zoom now. Why? Because we were forced to move past the fear and to learn how to utilize and embrace these virtual spaces. as more than something that was going to be a futuristic inevitability. But no, this became a present necessity. We needed it here and now. So at some point, I'm going to have to find a way to fit in more discussion on this online presence, okay? Here's some ideas for your online presence. You can start with a cell phone or a tablet and a Facebook or YouTube page. When the pandemic first hit and we were having to go virtual, there was a tablet that we used to get on Facebook Live. We didn't have no cameras and all, no. All we had was a tablet that we put on a tripod and we use it to go live. If all you have is a cell phone, you have everything you need to be able to live stream on Facebook, on YouTube, on Zoom, on some platform. If all you have is a smartphone, an iPhone, a Samsung Galaxy or a Note, a LG, a Google Pixel, if you got a smartphone, you have everything you need to be able to go live and to live stream your services. You're already paying a cell phone bill, so it's not even a new expense. But if you want to get a new expense, a decent tablet will only cost you a few $100s. Don't go very low end unless you just have to. You can go to Walmart and get a Samsung tablet. I think that 7-inch tablet is right around $100-something. Right? If you're using live streaming, have a good background. We got to talk more about this at a later time, right? You don't want your background to be too busy. If you use those fancy virtual backgrounds, don't use the background that you bleed into. I personally would not use a black virtual background. I'm gonna bleed into it. Just see my eyes and teeth on the screen, right? If there are people in your background, we family, right? When you watch Cedar Crest online, right? We had to rearrange how the choir would sit. Because I'd be up preaching and preaching and preaching. And I got folk behind me. Don't be laughing, Vvibrant. I can see you in my small screen. Folks sitting behind me just knocked out. Head cocked to the side, drooling. It's not a good background. Not when the whole world is watching, right? If you're doing virtual, test your equipment before the service or the meeting begins. Make sure your phone is fully charged. Make sure you know what button to push that says go live, right? If there's a problem one week, try to correct it before next week. Okay? Try to have a host for your meeting. On this meeting tonight, I'm grateful because I'm presenting. There is somebody else who's letting you all in, monitoring the chat. Somebody else is doing that because I can't do this and that at the same time. I could, but it would be extremely difficult. Okay? If you have a hybrid worship service, which means you're online and in person, take the time to acknowledge, engage, and interact with the online audience. What do you mean by that? I mean, say hello to the people who are online. On Sunday mornings, I keep my cell phone logged into Facebook. And when I get up to make pastoral announcements, anybody who said good morning in the Facebook chat, I say good morning to them one by one. Good morning, Mama, all the way in Chicago. Good morning, Sister Cunningham in Tennessee. Even my members who are here locally, say good morning, okay? Don't shame people for worshiping online. Don't shame them. I know you miss them. I know you wish they were with you in person, but don't shame them if they're just online. Don't make them feel as if they're less than or doing something wrong because they're online. If you want to say something about their absence, say, we miss you. Say, I'm glad to have you online, but I'd sure love to see you. I'm saving a space for you. Okay? Try to assign someone to engage with your online audience. If you can do it, assign somebody to engage with them. So that while they're online, because they're online chatting, they in the comment section, have somebody, assign somebody to be in there with them, to read and respond to the comments in real time. If you make an announcement in person, make sure there's somebody online to type that announcement in the comment section so the people online can go back and read it. Because guess what? They might have gotten up and gone to the bathroom while you were reading the announcements. They do it in person church, they're doing it online too. Right? Try to create a page for your church on all free social media sites. Facebook, Instagram. I'm leery of TikTok, but TikTok, Twitter. I'm leery of Twitter these days. But try to create a page for your church on all free social media sites that you can. And on those sites, put your announcements. Put up a clip from the sermon or Bible study. Put up a clip of your praise dancers or somebody singing. Put up your scriptures, your prayer requests. Put those things on your social media sites. Okay? But we'll try to revisit that. That's our lowest score overall. Wow. Now, it's interesting. This is interesting. So hospitality last week, 3.7. Worship last week, 3.6. Faith development from last week, 3.5. Started high, move lower. Mission this week, 3. Generosity, 2.4. Online presence, 2.1. Man, each category, our rating went lower and lower. Well, that's part of our purpose in this workshop, okay?
And those 3 were the ones where we have the most contact with people outside the door.
Isn't that something? These are internal in the house, and these are outside the door.
Mm-hmm.
These numbers say something to us. But remember one of our earlier homework assignments, when we talked about my assets, my church's assets. The numbers may not be the best, but we all have some assets to begin to turn these things around and to help our churches become more vibrant, okay? Man, I do apologize because I have 8:04, so I have to let you all go. Gotta let you go, gotta let you go, gotta let you go. I will do the same thing I did last week. I'm gonna stay online for about 15 minutes. If there's anything that you have a question about, want to talk about, or need to share, I'll stay on the line for 15 minutes after we say a prayer and dismiss everyone else. There is a homework assignment, and I need to share that. I'll share it quickly and briefly, okay? Churches, remember your vision and your mission statements are due this upcoming Monday, okay? You can email those statements to me at vcwilliams@hotmail.com, okay? You can email those statements to me at vcwilliams@hotmail.com. My email address is in the directory if you don't have it, but it's vcwilliams@hotmail.com, okay? I need those on Monday. All I'm gonna do is read them. I'll read them, I may make some comments and return them right back to you, okay? So all we'll do. This is just the first draft of those vision and mission statements. And so you may edit and revise them in the upcoming weeks. And that'll be fine. We'll be encouraging you to do that. Okay. Vision and mission statements due Monday. Then, is my church vibrant? Okay. That has been sent to you, Sister Hendrickson, and also to you, Elder Fuller. So if you, once again, if you do get the email blast from Elder Fuller, then you'll get your homework assignment when he sends out that email blast. If you do not get the email blast from Elder Fuller, please put your email address in the chat. And one of the scribes will make sure that you get that homework assignment in your email, okay?
Dr. Williams, I put my email in there every week, but I haven't received anything.
Thank you.
So I didn't know if it was, if I just needed to go have the elder to send that also. And I don't think any of my church members that are on, I don't know if they received it either, but
Thank you very much. I will follow up on that with the scribes. I will follow up on them with that this week. If you do not have that by the close of the day tomorrow, please call me or text me and let me know. And we'll make sure.
I get credit for all the other days I didn't get it last.
We'll make sure we send all of them.
Oh, well, great.
Okay. We'll make sure we do that. All right. All right. Before we go, I do want to recognize Elder Fuller and let Elder Fuller come. And I ask if there's anything from Elder Fuller to share on tonight.
Thank you. I'm recognized. Put it back in your hand. As always, I'd like to thank you for your presentation tonight. It was very good.
No, thank you so much. Once again, if you'd like to go, there's an even more in-depth presentation that I mentioned last week. Reverend Brenda Smith has been working with this book. I think last conference year and this, and she can go really in depth. But it's great if you get the book, do some reading and some study for yourself. I just hope that this has been enough to sort of whet your appetite. All right, let's pray our way out. Now, God, we thank you for the way you reveal truth to us, even as we talk and look at numbers. God, the numbers tell a part of the story, but not the whole story. But God, even in the story that they tell, we see how we are being challenged to grow in our outreach, in our interaction with others. And so, God, for the practices we have shared on last week and this week, we pray now, God, that these would be more than words that we speak and read, but that these might become principles, God, embedded in our hearts, that we might be fruitful and vibrant congregations for your glory. And so, God, as you dismiss us from this space, keep the task of vibrancy ever before us and keep us committed to the task until in your name we can have victory. Grant us now, God, rest on tonight. And if your will wakes us up in the morning, let us wake up with the spirit of rejoicing. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Right. God bless you all. Thank you once again for being with us tonight. Again, I'm going to stay online for about 15 minutes. If there's something that you want to share, want to talk about, but did not have a chance to, I'm going to stay online just for anyone who needs me on tonight.
We get a Thanksgiving break next week, don't we?
Yes, Thanksgiving break next week. We'll be off next week. We'll come back on December 1st. I did mean to mention that.
So, Dr. Williams, the mission statements and all, those are just being emailed. We're not actually having a discussion time with those.
Yes, those are just being emailed for now.
Okay.
You know, there may be some that I pull up, but I want to talk before I share anybody's statement with the whole group. Yeah.
So we're not meeting on Monday?
No, we're not meeting
Okay.
on Monday. That's just an email. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Reverend Bell, I will get back to you on that issue you texted me about earlier.
Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah.
Okay, will do.
And Dr. Van, I just wanted to say that we just recently got internet at the church, just probably a week and a half ago. Got
Oh,
internet,
wow.
period. So we are very, very much behind, not even the 8 ball, the bowling ball. However, just having, just knowing that there is a person who's willing to come out and talk with the churches, just to get us to a point of where we can have some semblance of presence is, you know, and with all of that, with the background and all of those things, that's very, very important. So I know they don't want to see my dishes in my china cabinet all the time, but so that's, you know, that's why, but I have to say one, because there is no presence right now. There is none.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But you've taken a great first step. You have internet at the church now. I think that's a great first step. And, you know, and whatever I can do or we can do to be a sounding board, right? Just reach out.
I appreciate that. And I know that's very true. I know that of you. So I'm
At the
grateful
fall
for that.
accounting meeting, Sister Tina Jones was talking and introducing, well, she was passing on a card of someone who kind of works in that area too.
Yeah, I have, I got his card. So I'm
Okay,
going to be
great.
following up with them. Actually, I'm going to try to pull most of the churches in that area, because there are some that are from Dallas district, and just ask them if they want to come and just listen, to be a part, to get just some overview. If
That's great.
you know, and so to do that, just so that, you know, that person can do one-stop do, but at least give us some idea of where we are and how far we can go, and how far we can progress to have some type of online presence. So
Okay, great.
Is that the
Pastor
guy
Ray.
that, I'm sorry, is that the guy that Sister Tina was talking about at the fall reporting meeting, right?
yes, we're gonna reach out to him.
Yeah, I need that information. I don't have it.
You want to know what I do with that?
Pass it
Yeah,
on. to
okay,
Luke.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. But I
Pastor Ray,
know,
are you still in Sherman?
yes, ma'am.
I was gonna say too, as you work with that person, maybe I believe Sherman has the volunteer center. Sometimes if you sign up through their volunteer center, they have people that would be willing to lend their services as well that are local. So that may be an option for you too.
You are so smart, Beth. I love you so much.
No, I wasn't very
Thank you,
smart.
thank
Some
you.
stuff I figured out through trial and error. So
Well, I will be reaching out to you also, because we need all the help that we can get. And you know, certainly, you know, and because this church is built, and then there was a part built on, the internet is not making it to the front of the church. So that's a whole nother thing of extenders, Wi-Fi extenders, and all of that stuff that may be required. And believe me, I worked at AT&T for 32 years, but I forced myself to forget all that stuff. So,
gotcha.
you know, so to come back and have to do that. So
With the extenders, now the way we did, because you know we have that issue here too. We went to, I don't know where, I need to ask Lucius Newhouse where he went, and just got some plug-in extenders.
okay.
We just plug it into an electrical outlet,
Okay.
and it takes and we can go all the way, because in the main office, it would not reach back to my office.
Okay.
But I'm in my conference room.
Right.
There's an extender plugged in here, and then there's an extender plugged in my office, the extender plugged in over in the boardroom, and the signal goes much further now.
Wow. Okay.
But we didn't have to get anything wired or anything like that.
Right.
We just went to, I think, Best Buy, really, and just bought them. They just plug into the wall.
Okay.
And these lights come on and say it picked it up and it's sending it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, then there's much work to do. And you know, it's funny that when I saw this book pop up on your screen last week, and I said, hey, that's why we're not in Bible study we normally have Bible study on Thursday night, and we were doing this book. We were going page by page, paragraph by paragraph. We were learning this. And I said, well, shoot, you're, and so that's why the church and a lot of the members are on there, because we've already been doing this. I mean, trying to learn of this and get familiar with it. So I appreciate you for that.
Oh, great. I appreciate you. Come on.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Beth, let me write this down. You have sent the information.
I'll email it to you too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good evening. God bless.
You too. You too.
Good evening.
Good evening, Elder. I see you in there too.
Good evening, good evening. Good lesson tonight, as always.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Glad to have you
Helpful
with us.
information. Thank you. Mhm.
Miss Beth, Miss Lily, can you all
Yes,
get
ma'am.
with me with the emails? Because I thought somebody was sending out the emails. I guess I need to.
I sent out the first set, but then Dr. Van said that you were gonna send out the one last week, and so I told you to send it to me, the homework to me, but I didn't get it to forward. But I do have the names of all of them.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
Okay, so
Just email
we'll
it to
get-
me and I'll forward it back out.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
I just sent
resend
a
all the
list.
emails.
Okay, and I just
Let's
sent a
resend
list
all
to
of them.
that email to you.
Yeah, I will send all of the names that I got out of the chat to you.